Hello. Today let's talking about are you really need alternative source of fuel for your car rather than gasoline?
Patrick's Garage.
Grab your snack, welcome back. Here you see this is additional plate for this carburetor was intended. You see this thing self-made for what? For probably for gas supplying for this carburetor. But what will be happen if we install? Here is the aluminum self-made plate. If you want to use gas as a fuel for your carburetor, here is simple main thing. You see here is holes for supplying gas. You see it goes before the gasoline before our main jet because it works without gasoline. When carburetor using gas as a fuel, is it need for your car? I don't know. Probably guys think that gas will be more cheaper than gasoline, but which can be cons and pros. But I think carburetor will be dirty because it can't be washed by gasoline and all these additives which you can add inside gasoline, including lead additives which you can replace lead which was used in olden days for cars which suffer from valve seats without all type of gasoline with lead. When you using gas, this gas goes without any additives which you can add to your gasoline in the gas tank. So, you want to use gas for old cars. Probably will be better to use electronic ignition. Yes, gas octane ratio will be more higher with gas rather than with gasoline, so you can adjust somehow your ignition distributor. Probably you need to install and electronic ignition. I really hate this electronic stuff when we're using for old cars, but not only this thing you want to install when you want to install gas for your car, and in the trunk when you want to uh, like storage for your gas. When you want your car working with gas will be inside your trunk, so you don't want to put additional stuff into the engine compartment. This is all things which you need to reduce the pressure of gas. And you want this electronic stuff, electronic ignition you want to install when you want to install this gas supplying equipment for your old engine. Do you really want to mess with all this crap? Probably not. I'm really satisfied with this. My carburetors in its stronger octane number will be more higher, so you want to adjust electronically this ignition advance which need if you're using gas. But carburetor also will suffer when you're using alternative fuel rather than gasoline. This is Harris float chamber. What inside the float chamber? Float. When you shift to the gas, your engine working on the gas, using the gas, what inside the float chamber? Float laying on the bottom. So float will be worn when it wiggling, and float bottom itself made out from aluminum. Aluminum will be worn, wears out more fast. So when you shift again to gasoline, your float can be worn and your needle goes up, goes down inside the carburetor because they work with vacuum without gasoline. So it can be lubricated with gasoline a little bit. But you know this needle touches the main jet when it works without gasoline. Anyway, this piston will go up and go down when you open throttle shaft, and your throttle will be open, so piston goes up and goes down. But without gasoline, your carburetor will suffer. If you want to use alternative sources with supplying with gas, not with gasoline. This carburetor was intended for working with gasoline. And what will be with your gas pump? It works without gasoline. It's not good for gas pump because it was intended for working with gasoline. So I decided to avoid using these alternative sources rather than gasoline. So I want to buy gasoline and using only gasoline for my carburetor cars with mechanical ignition. You know, I'm a big proponent of mechanical ignition, contact breaker. You want to clean your contact breaker. You don't want to using electronic ignition because you want to shifting this ratio, octane ratio, when you're using gasoline, when you're shifting to the gas, and this octane ratio will be more higher with gas. So you want to tune your ignition, and you know what will be with valve seats. You know, old classic cars was not intended for gas, and they not intended for gasoline without lead. You know, since 70s there is no problem. Let's remember, since 74 they decided to use gasoline without lead. So probably valve seats in any engines can be suffer in the 60s. But you know, Volvo since 70s works without problems with this gasoline, modern gasoline. But yes, you want to adjust your ignition distributor, mechanical ignition you prefer. I'm also prefer to using this carburetor with mechanical ignition without any alternative source of fuel. Probably this intended for gasoline. It works perfectly fine with gasoline. And who gonna to maintain this complex equipment for these alternative sources? Yes, you know, hybrid cars now really great decision because we can't using electric power cars completely. We need combine them. We using gasoline, hybrid cars using electricity, but how can use gas for our cars with carburetor? You know, carburetor was not adapted for using gas. They're using gasoline only. They intended for working perfectly. And this carburetor works perfectly fine. The Zenith Stromberg. They're using gasoline. So we don't care about any alternative sources of fuel.